Now, can you actually get a referral in your job search? Does it even work? I mean, we've all seen those people that magically get jobs. They haven't even applied. They know somebody in the company. They get an interview. The interview goes really easy. Then they get an offer. Everything seems to be going pretty great. But then we're stuck in this application loop that doesn't work. And then when we try to network, we sort of feel a little bit cringy. We're sort of like being annoying, or we feel that way at least. And then you start to think, does this even work? Can I get a networking opportunity, or can I network to get a job? And then you start to think, well, other people are lucky. They have connections, they have friends. But that's not really the case. There is a strategy that you can generate on LinkedIn to reach out to people so they can refer you or introduce you or even have a meeting with you to increase your chances of getting a role. Now, we've all heard of the phrase, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So let's start building who we know in the companies that we want to work in. Now, how do we do that without feeling cringy, sort of, dirty in a way where we don't know how we come across and we start to think we're annoying these people? Hey, can you refer me into a role? Sounds kind of cheesy, but that's not the way you should do it. The way you should do it is you should be able to ask questions. So, a good strategy to follow is to genuinely, in one of my other videos, I talk about this, have an ideal employer profile. Now, if you have an ideal list of companies, that's a good starting point. Now, if you start reaching out to people in those companies, and I'm not talking about recruiters. Recruiters are probably the worst people to network with. I'm talking about hiring managers. I'm talking about people doing the job you want to do. I'm talking about people who run departments, who influence the hiring decisions. If you connect to these people, but don't send a message or an email message saying, hey, can I get a job? Can you refer me? That's not going to work. It's like meeting someone on a first date and then asking them to marry you. It's probably not a good idea. The same thing applies for your job search. If you start using LinkedIn, you start to get to know people, you start asking questions, that's a good starting point. So if you have an ideal list of companies you want to work for, then you start pinpointing people who are already in that job. I want you to think about this in a way where if you reach out to people who are doing the job you want to do and they started a year ago, they probably have a good idea of what the interview process is. They know who the hiring manager is. They can give you some intel, some advice. They could even recommend you to reach out to that hiring manager. If you reach out to the hiring manager after you speak to someone, you can ask them questions about the company culture, what the company looks for when they're hiring in a post AI time. Are responsibilities changing? Now, once you build rapport and you ask genuinely intelligent questions, then you can start asking for things. You're sort of showing value with the quality of questions you ask. If you ask a question saying, hey, any jobs? It's not a quality based question. You're going to get ignored, and then you're going to say, networking doesn't work. But if you ask questions like, what's the metric of success you look for when hiring people with minimal experience for roles that require AI? That's specific. And if you get a genuine response, that's something to work with. So that response could allow you to have a meeting. We call these informational interviews. Now, informational interviews, and I've done a video on this, so I urge you to look at it, is your opportunity to then ask for a referral. I want you to imagine having a meeting with the hiring manager and they like you. They think, wow, this candidate is great. Then you can ask for a referral. Then you can ask for next steps. Hell, you can even ask for them to help you make a formal application that results in an interview. If you're a student of mine, you know, right? So it's specifically asking questions that get you to the next stage. But the problem now is that if you've never networked, you've never asked for a referral, you don't know what you're doing. There is a simple way. I've done a free training. The link is in the description, completely free. I break down this in a little bit more of a longer format. These videos are there to give you the generalized understanding of things, to give you sort of like a light at the end of the tunnel hope approach, which people are getting interviewed without even applying using LinkedIn, and they're networking and they're getting referred. So a way for you to do it without actually seeming annoying is to focus on genuine interests. Why do you want to work for that company? Why are you the right candidate from your perspective after you ask these questions? If you ask about company culture, if you ask about soft skills, if you ask about lack of hard skills and what soft skills or other experiences required to be considered, these are good questions that you can then start building conversations. So don't think about, hey, can I get a referral? Think about what questions can I ask to genuinely show that this is an interest of mine. Now, the backflip of that and the annoying part is if you find yourself in a position where you think, you know what, I want to get any job, I'm open for anything and everything, your networking and referral strategy is going to be pretty weak because you don't have a specific area of interest. Now, the more specific you are about your job search, the more likely the questions will be more authentic. And then the more likely that referral can take place after you've had a meeting or asked a good question. So the next time you start networking, start thinking about the questions you can ask to then build up the confidence for you to ask a referral. I'll see you on the next one.